Good evening and welcome to Friday's Live with me, Raj Nayak. This evening, I have with me one of India's finest badminton players, a two-time Olympian. She has over 300 match wins to her credit. A feisty sportswoman both on-field and off-field. My guest this evening is the cheerful Jwala Gutta. Jwala, welcome to Friday's Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Raj.
Thank you for being here. This show is something that I do every Friday. It's something that I started during the lockdown, and it keeps me going. And more interestingly, it gets me to meet inspiring people like yourself who done some tremendous work, and to know your journey. And that's what this show is all about. It's your show, so you can
Thank
talk as much as you want. And so let me just start the conversation by asking you, what does Jwala mean?
The actual meaning.
Yeah, did you ask your parents why they named you Jwala?
Yeah, I had to ask because I think most of the time everybody is literally judging me because of my name. So I was like, why have you named me Jwala? My dad's name is Kranti. So when I was born, my auntie said, let's name her Jwala. Kranti's Jwala. Kranti means revolution. Jwala means flame, the mashal or the torch.
Yeah,
So Kranti's Jwala. That's how I got my name.
interesting. That,
Mhm.
that was the inspiration. And you got a very interesting lineage, right? You mentioned your father's Kranti, and you come from a family of his parent. His father was a freedom fighter.
Yeah, my
Uh,
grandparents, my
your,
grandfather.
your grandfather, from your father's side,
Yeah.
was a freedom fighter. So, did you get to meet them? Did you get to meet both sides of your grandparents?
Yeah, of course. My grandfather lived till 102. Like he passed away for 4 years, 5 years ago. He was 102. He lived really long, and I've always been happy towards my dad's side, family. My mom's parents always lived in China. My grandmother recently passed away, and my grandfather passed away in 2001. My mom's died. And I've met them. They always used to come to India to meet us. Used to come as diplomats actually, to India, diplomats from China, because my grandfather, my great grandfather, was a Gandhian. He died in Sivagam, the place where I was born. So I think that's how my grandparents were the VVIP from China. I don't know how that happened. I never asked, but they used to come to India as diplomats and then visit India for about 3 4 months in a year.
And did you ever get to go? And not did you, not for playing, but as much to visit your grandparents? Would you travel to China often?
Just
Not.
once, just once. We couldn't afford, those days were different. We couldn't afford traveling so much, and all the time, the all the time I've been to China is for my game, and that's it. But I visited my grandparents' place. My grandfather had passed away back then. I went to my grandmother's house, stayed there for a week. But then I couldn't give too much time. There was no time for holiday. So I've hardly visited.
Interesting. Chinese mother and your father is a Telugu. Uh, did you ask them how they met? What was their romance?
So both of them have different stories. So in my mother's Tuta Futa Hindi, she says, "Wo mere piche pada tha." It was not me. Look at him, look at me. And my dad says she came to me for tuition. So basically, my dad was teaching her chemistry, and and the chemistry happened.
So, what was your dad doing? Revolutionary in name, but what was his profession?
My dad was studying in Wardha at Bajaj College. It's a very famous college, science college, Kasturba Bajaj College. That's Bajaj. The Bajaj family had donated that land to I don't know, to I thought it was to Gandhi, I think, and there is a Gandhi ashram in Wardha. And my dad was studying there. My dad's whole family was there in Wardha farming, actually. I don't know why they shifted. They were in Madras and then they shifted to Wardha for quite some time. And my dad started studying there. My dad was studying MSc. He's done MSc organic chemistry, in organic chemistry. And my mom came along with her grandfather to Wardha because my great grandfather was Gandhian, and he wanted to and he was a very famous editor, chief editor in fact, of a Chinese newspaper in Singapore. So he came down to India. He had come before, and now this time after Gandhi passed away, he came down to India to translate the Gandhi biography into Chinese. And he was staying at Vardha, and that's where he got my mom along. He wanted my mom to explore, and she was going to the same college as my dad, and my dad was also taking tuitions because they couldn't afford. They come from a very humble background, and so my mom went to him, and I think that's where they fell in love.
How interesting. I mean, your one grandfather was a freedom fighter, another grandfather, uh,
Chinese.
yeah, Chinese,
Yeah.
translated Gandhi biography into Chinese. Uh, do you have a copy of it? Did you manage to keep it as a
Yeah, we have
collection?
it. We have one.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
we have
So tell
one. And he took Gandhi named him. Gandhi named him as Shanti Doot from China. You know, so he took that name. So he was known as Sung Shanti. Sung is his surname, his family name, and Shanti. And he died in Wardha, and they buried him in Wardha at Kasturba Hospital where I was born. So they have all these famous people who are, who died there. They were buried there, and he's still there. My great
yeah,
grandfather.
in spirit, he's there. Uh,
Hmm.
Interesting. You said you were born in Kasturba Hospital, Kasturba Gandhi Hospital in Varda. What was your childhood like in Varda? You were born there, right? You
I
grew up
don't.
there.
Yeah, no, I didn't. My dad immediately, he was already working for Reserve Bank because he was seeing that his family was not able to afford um, education anymore. Although my grandmother wanted him to do his PhD in organic chemistry, but he took up a job in Reserve Bank, and then my mom and him were living in Nagpur, and I think for delivery she went to Wardha at the hospital, and then afterwards we were there for I think 2-3 years in Nagpur, and then we shifted to Hyderabad.
So your basic childhood has been growing up in Hyderabad.
Hyderabad, yeah, completely,
So
completely.
that's
And then my dad didn't want to take promotion because he already had decided that I would play a sport. So my training, my badminton, my coach, everything was set here in Hyderabad. So he never took up any promotion because we would have to, shift cities, and then that would hamper my training. So he never took. So we completely settled here.
so. At what age did you start playing?
Playing at the age of 9, 10, but I was already in sports since the age of 4. Like I did gymnastics and swimming for 5 years because Arif Sam, who's still my coach and he's working with me now at the academy, he said I was too young to hold the racket at the age of 4. So he pushed me to do gymnastics and swimming, and at the age of 9, 10, I came back to him and started playing.
So what was the inspiration? I mean, for your father to I mean, did he push you into sports, or you yourself wanted to go there? How was it?
No, at the age of 4, you really wouldn't know, right?
True.
So it was him. It was completely him. Because I'm the first girl child in the family. My dad has 5 other siblings, and all of them had two boys. And I was the first girl child, and it was my grandmother. And he was pretty shocked actually with the reaction he got. They were very disappointed in him.
Oh, were they?
And
I thought you'd be very happy not having the only girl child in the whole.
no, they weren't. It's a typical mentality, मतलब लड़का है तो dowry मिलेगा. That's the kind of a mentality, middle class mentality. You can't help it sometimes, I think. So, and my dad is the youngest of all, so he's like the ladla of the house. So there's great expectations. He's the most educated one also. He finished his post graduation, so there was a lot, but he, I think, disappointed everybody. He married my mom. That also didn't go down, well with my grandparents, and even my mom's grandfather wasn't happy. Actually, he didn't. He refused to look at my mom on his deathbed. It was that bad. But yeah, so it was my dad. He was like, I'm gonna make her something which nobody would have even thought of. And in my days, when I was a teenager, everybody was an engineer. Most of them were engineer
Oh,
or a
doctor.
doctor, nothing else. But he was very determined, and I was not given any choice, and I did not join the sport for fitness sake. It was to take up any sport as a profession. It didn't matter what sport, but he was very determined. Yeah, he
But
just
any
exposed me to all sports.
no, but do you have any idea what was his inspiration? Because was he a sportsman himself?
He always wanted to do sports, but he said we couldn't afford. We couldn't afford to think about it also.
Okay.
But I don't think he would have been a good sports person. He has no hand-eye coordination. And I told him how in the world, like he didn't even know how to run. He started running with me. But and at the age of 55, he became a marathon runner. If
Wow.
you see him, yeah, if you see him run, he's not running freely. Like it doesn't come naturally, but he managed. He's very like ziddi in his head,
And
and
marathon, what does he do? 10K?
he did 10K. He did 25K also. Slow,
Wow.
but he has done. He went to Delhi for that Airtel marathon.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, he just wants to do that. I'm like, as long as he's busy and happy, I think that's fine. Yeah.
And are you the only daughter?
No,
Only.
I have another sibling. She's about 8 years younger than me.
And what
Yeah.
does she do? What's her name?
Now, Insi. Her name is Insi. It's
Oh, so
I.
she's taken the name from your mother's side, right?
No,
Insi is
it's
a,
actually it's neither Chinese nor an Indian name. It's a
okay.
created name. So Insi, it's IN, that means Indo, India, SI, Sino, China.
Wow.
So it's
Insi.
Insi. Yeah,
Interesting.
she just got married last year, December, and yeah, she's right now a homemaker, but yeah, I think she's enjoying it.
Good. And Jwala, so tell me, I read somewhere that you wanted to play tennis, but your
Mhm.
mother forced you to get into badminton.
Yeah,
Is that is that
yeah,
is that
yeah.
right?
Yes,
And
because
yes.
because like all the mothers first, they're like, this scared your child will tan, kali ho jayegi, then shadi kaun karega. But I don't think shadi was in her mind, but she was like, she kali ho jayegi, just put her in indoor sport. She's very clear.
Wow. I mean, that's a big admission on your part to say that because
नहीं, वो
nobody.
तो See, it is very natural, I don't blame her. That's how our society has been. It is still there. A lot of people now, because of social media or a lot of awareness about, any kind of skin is fine. But I
True.
think those days it was like that. I think even now it is like that. Now probably people are scared to admit it. Even then people would be scared to admit it, but yeah, that's how it is. You can't blame her or can't blame anybody.
Yeah, it's changing. It's slowly changing, and I don't know how long it will take, but hopefully
Yeah,
someday, people will.
someday maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of things have to change, but someday maybe.
And you've been very vocal on this. I'm going to come to that. So, you you are a left-hander, right?
I'm a lefty, yeah.
Yeah. Even only while playing, or even while writing,
So
or
I'm ambidextrous actually, but
okay.
I practiced it. I write with my right and I play with my left. I do a lot of work with my right as well, and I do heavy lifting with my left. So I'm ambidextrous. I use both my hands actually. Yeah.
And you played so many. I mean, you are extremely successful in doubles, both in the mixed and in the women's. Who was your favorite partner, or whom did you enjoy
Actually,
playing?
I enjoyed playing with both Ashwini and Diju, but I've had fantastic wins with Diju, like great wins. We've beaten world number one, we've beaten Olympic champions, we've beaten All England champions, and nobody expected that from us. And we've had great wins in mixed doubles. And I always liked challenges. So for me to play against a man was always like a challenge, because in India we don't take we are always scared and worried of big names, and I was like, isme kya hai, bada hoga world champion, that's fine, I have nothing to lose. So I always had that attitude. And then when you hear big names, they're supposed to be hitting hard and they're supposed to be super fast, the men especially. So I always used to enjoy playing them, and they used to get irritated playing with me, playing against me. So I used to like that. I used to like that.
And is there any? You said challenges. You just mentioned the word challenges. Now, what is the biggest challenge that a sports person or a sportswoman faces while getting into the game, or to come up to the ranks that you have?
I think the biggest challenge in our country is that we as sports persons, we don't get enough of financial support. It is very difficult to, I think, forget becoming an international player. I think to even decide, that I'm going to take sports as a profession is itself a very brave decision to make. And after that, to become a district champion, a state champion, and then the national champion takes a lot. It just consumes you, which people don't realize. We just talk about, international champions right now, but there are a lot of people who probably must have worked really hard, probably harder than me, uh, who couldn't make it, maybe because they were unlucky or they probably didn't have enough support. Financial support is what a sports person lacks in our country, because we don't have a system for sports in our country.
Even now, there's no system, proper system.
No, there isn't. I feel the central government does spend a lot of money on sports, but the thing is, the association controls the sport completely. There is no accountability of what is happening with the kind of money the central government is spending. If you see central government spending, if you see the numbers, they're in like hundreds of crores. But if hundreds of crores, uh, just getting us one gold medal, or not even one gold medal, that is just by chance ho raha hai. Like Abhinav Bindra is a gold medalist, but he put in his own effort as well. So if we're not able to get one medal from such a big country of ours, then there's something wrong systematically.
So if Mr. Kiran Rijiju, who's the sports minister, is watching this show right now, and if you had to give him a message, what do you think the one suggestion you would give that the government should do to encourage sports people to be able to flourish?
He's already done a lot of the things which I always spoke about, like, open up these big stadiums which was made for these games, like Commonwealth Games, Siri Fort in Delhi. And we have so many stadiums in my city as well for national games, which was made. Chandrababu Naidu made it, but they're just lying around. So open it up. And then I really think the state government and the central government together have to work. They cannot work separately. And you have to have an accountability of where the money is going and if the money is being used properly for the athletes or not. I really doubt that is happening.
Yeah, Mr. Rijiju is a sportsman himself, and he's very
He's
progressive.
definitely doing. He's definitely. I think he's more proactive than a sports minister who himself was a sports person. He is so proactive, and I really hope the money is going in the right direction right
He's a
now.
big sports enthusiast because I spent
And
an
he knows
evening
a
with him.
lot.
Yeah, he's an encyclopedia on sports.
Yeah, he knows a lot, and that's why there were other sports persons who were sports ministers before him, and they did not do anything. I was very disappointed. Again, I was very hopeful that things would change. There has to be a drastic change. There has to be a drastic change.
You think it would be a great idea to have something like where you have scouts going and scouting for right talent and bringing them under one umbrella and then giving them all the support that requires
Yes,
to.
of course. In India, हमारे देश में the problem is once a player wins an international tournament, then you reward him or her with all the money. The same money you put in, in the grassroots level. And spend that kind of a money personally and make sure that that financial burden is not put on the family. You'll not have one medalist, you'll have many medalists. And that's what I've been saying. Like Sindhu, for example, became, she won an Olympic medal at Rio. But we are failing to acknowledge the part where she did not spend 1 rupee since the age of 16. She had all the private sponsors. And if the athlete only has to focus only on sport, we can make Olympic champions. But today, our athlete has to bother about what kind of money he's making because he also has to repay his family or see that his family is not burdened with uh, burden and financially burden financially and फिर खुद का physio देखो खुद का खाना देखो this protein that protein then the tournament sent by the association is not enough then you have to play tournaments at your own expense so many things and then you have to also get educated because if you're not educated you don't get proper job even if you're in a job and if you don't have a degree you won't get promoted to another next level because you're not a graduate there's so many things and now I'm facing this problem is that 20, 25 30 years I've played badminton and now suddenly my company wants me to come and work for them like I have no idea what I'll do at a 9 to 5 job, on a table, right? I have no idea. And then there is no provision for athletes like us, after their career, they can have an academy, they can also have the job, which we played for the company. I'm also very grateful to the company. But now they want me to come. So there's no security, on the whole, the system doesn't secure the athletes.
Even after achieving all the laurels that you did.
No.
Yeah. So, which is the company you're employed now with?
Bharat Petroleum, and
But
I haven't been going to the office for past 1.5 years because of my academy. and I've been at loss of pay. And the Olympics is gonna come, and they are like sending me all these warnings. What is your decision? Jaldi bolo. And I'm like, I probably end up resigning. I don't know.
You mentioned your academy. No, I'm sure they will not go to that extent. They will not. They will realize that they cannot let somebody like you, who's brought so much of repute to the organization as well, to let you go so
No, they
easily.
don't care. They don't care really, because I asked them for their support as well, because they always want. See, we were like, whenever we played a tournament, they always asked us to wear this logo. So basically, they asked us to market them and talk about them. So I'm like, I want your support. Let me put your logo or branding on the academy, right? It's good for them and good for me. It's a
Correct.
win-win situation, but they just don't care. Yeah.
So tell me about your academy. I mean, I saw it on YouTube today for the first time. I'd actually seen it when you tweeted about it a few months ago when you launched it. But then today on YouTube, I went and saw the whole video. You built a fabulous academy.
Yes.
Uh, and if people are watching it, please log on to YouTube and see Jwala's academy. She's built a fantastic academy in Hyderabad. So tell me about your academy. I mean, what was the inspiration of doing that?
I always wanted to do something apart from badminton for past 10 years actually. I thought ki, once I do well in my career, I would get that kind of a support. People will believe in my vision, but that didn't happen. So I waited. Then one day I was like, chalo, choro, let me do it on my own. And I was actually opting for a bank loan, and just then my dad was like, okay, let's not go for bank loan, then there's too much of headache. So we kind of my dad somehow arranged the money, and I put in everything, whatever I had. So basically, we were like, my dad and me, we kind of think alike. We're like, if we're getting into this business, get in with a bang or just don't get in. Don't venture. There's no point. So we built this academy. It's just not going to be a badminton academy actually, but we started off with badminton because I'm an expert in that. So we built 14 court badminton academy. It is I think the biggest one in the country right now, and we are in a school premises. And I've always preached that education and sports can go hand in hand. So when I have finished my education, so I think anybody can and also play sport. So it's like it's an overall development, because everybody cannot be a champion. Everybody cannot be a champion. So I focus on their education as well, and I'm very lucky that I got this opportunity, which I
And a
got.
lot of people just play for fitness as well, right? I mean, yeah.
They
So,
do.
so and you launched in the middle of the pandemic. So
Yeah, it actually last year my academy was ready last year March, और उसके बाद lockdown हो गया. And I was like, oh my god, like almost 6-7 months we were just maintaining it, and then फिर चूहे भी आने लग गए. In spite of all the maintenance, and then खर्चा हो रहा था. Then November, when the cases came down, and that's when I thought, let me just launch it. And then when I opened up for registration, I got about 500 to 600 registrations, because there is no second option in our country. It's just one academy right now running, which is famous. So, but then I did not take everybody because of COVID again. I didn't want, you know, the place crowded. So I had to restrict a lot of entries. I'm still restricting.
so this is you have students from all over the country or only from Hyderabad?
All over the country, and mainly I'm very surprised, mainly they're from Haryana and Maharashtra.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
And
strong boys. I'm so impressed with their physique, and their skill. It's just that they're not getting enough exposure, and they're not getting the right opportunity. But I hope that I've seen them for past 6 months and they have improved tremendously. I really hope that there's a tournament happening and then they can prove their skill.
So, so what about their staying? I mean,
There's a hostel. There's
there's
a
a
hostel. I'm running a hostel. Yeah,
so you're a
hostel.
full-fledged entrepreneur.
I don't know. I think I'm a very bad businesswoman. I can't keep track of money. I'm like, कोई भी आता है, they're like, madam, ये नहीं हो रहा. I'm like, okay, जाओ ये ले लो. But and my mom is right on my head, like you're wasting so much money. But I think having a good business also means that you need to have a set of people who you can trust, and then sometimes they are in need, and you have to keep them happy. Then they
True.
wouldn't leave you. So my mom is a typical Chinese. No bharosa on anybody, including me and my dad. She's a typical Chinese. Very hardworking, but very always suspicious of things.
So how involved is your mom in your business?
I involved her. I couldn't do it alone. I needed the support from my family. And my mom herself is a businesswoman. She has her own consultancy firm for pharmaceuticals. She works for all these big companies, Zydus, Urbindo, all these big companies. And she's running a very successful business actually.
And how has it been? Ever since you opened the academy, how has it been? How has the business been?
Business is like we don't make any money right now because we haven't opened up completely. I have to protect my children, who are living there. And agar ek ko bhi COVID aa gaya, and then I'll have to shut everybody from coming. So I haven't opened up for the outsiders yet. So July 1st is what I have announced. But if COVID is still gonna trouble us, then I think I'll not open it. I think safety is first.
You did another interesting thing during the COVID period, what I would term as love in the time of COVID. You got married right in the midst of COVID.
Yeah, and right in the midst of the second wave, it was very scary, and I was not happy. I was very stressed. I wanted to cancel the whole thing because you read this news, you listen to the news. It's so depressing. It's sad. I was very guilty. I was feeling very guilty. That's why I did not even post any pictures for a month. I'm like, I'm not going to post any happy pictures because it's not right on my part to do that. Um, and yeah, it just happened. I created a bubble. Luckily, nobody got infected, and it was a small wedding. It was fun, but I've forgotten about it. I hardly have any memories because it was a stressful period for me. Yeah.
So, do you plan to write a book, Love in the Times of COVID?
No, 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 not really. I really wish things were better. And then if I had gotten married, I would have probably enjoyed the whole shadi. But I was very stressed. I was very stressed. I was crying 10 days prior to the wedding every day for no reason. It was like I'm just crying because I was just not happy. I was helpless. And then my friends just pushed me. They were counseling me every day, and they were like, just get it done because it was long due. The wedding was long due. We just kept postponing it for almost more than a year. So they're like, just get it done. I'm like, okay,
So,
fine, I'll just get it done.
so tell me your love story. How did you meet Vishnu Vishal?
Vishnu, actually, we met at a common friend's sister's wedding, and I didn't know him because I had not watched any of his film, although I'm a movie buff, but I somehow never watched his film. And actually, we started off on a very bad note. We were not liking each other. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. I'm like, it was a drunk party. And I was like, ये कौन है? ये कौन भटक रहा है मेरे आजू बाजू? But I don't know. Somehow we started talking, and then you have a perception about movie people, it's not my fault, it's just made up like that. So but when you start talking, when I started talking to him, he seemed like a sensible guy, he very head over his on his shoulder, and कुछ ऐसा movie type, एकदम movie type तो नहीं लगा. I have a lot of filmy friends and I'm like, I just can't converse with them. And he was different. He hardly spoke about his films. We had some good intelligent chat, and then we just you know started
Interesting.
dating. Yeah,
So, so who proposed to whom?
he proposed. He proposed. He did. He suddenly did, but it was, we had understood. We knew it. There was a mutual understanding. But he suddenly planned it on my birthday last year. Was it last year, or I think on 2019? I'm not too sure. Yeah.
This is what the pandemic has done to all of us.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know whether it was before pandemic. I think it was before pandemic. He proposed, and yeah, he just planned it with my manager and everybody. All my friends knew it. I didn't know. It was quite a surprise actually, because he's not a filmy guy, and I did not like it also. Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever consider getting into films yourself?
No, see, I have a lot of respect for movie people because they have their pattern, the way of working is very difficult. We everybody says that sports person's life or career is very difficult. We have to train so hard. Everything is right, but we are very organized. हमारा set time होता है 6 बजे 5 बजे उठना है 6 बजे on court or on the ground running. You have this set organized training plan for us, when it comes to. But movie people, it's so unorganized, and you have to stay awake the whole night if it is a night shoot. And then I can't do all of that. I think they work really hard. They work,
Yes, they
they,
do.
they're underestimated, you know,
Yeah, people
and
only see the glamorous side. They don't see what the hard work
people
that goes
just
behind.
see the beauty and the glam, but they don't see. It's very tough. It's tough to look good, and the people don't realize. People take them very easy, you know, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. And I have a lot of friends. I see them. I'm like, how do you do it? I just can't. I can't even think, and I can't act. I'm very bad. Yeah.
No, that I'm not sure. I mean,
No, I'm sure. I'm very confident. I'll tell you what I'm good at. I'll definitely tell you what I'm good at. I can boast about myself. I'm good at playing badminton. I know that for a fact. You ask me to play badminton, I'm not shy. I'll just go ahead. But in front of camera, I just freeze. So I just can't do it. Yeah.
so let's switch gears a bit. Uh, we've spoken about your badminton, but before I go, tell me if there's one moment you remember of any tournament of yours, which will always be there with you, something that you cherish, which is that moment.
I have uh, I have a lot of such moments because we as doubles players, we were never taken seriously. मतलब expected, there's no expectations. So I have a lot of such moments, but definitely Commonwealth Games gold medal will be my favorite because first is I played in front of our home crowd. I had never seen such crowd for badminton before or even after the Commonwealth Games, and then I had my parents in the stand, and I've played one of my best matches in the Commonwealth Games. And I performed every day of that tournament. That is almost 14 days of the tournament, and I'm very proud of it.
Okay. You've been very outspoken, Jwala. I follow you on Twitter, and you're very vocal about your views, what you
Yeah.
believe in, and you get trolled also at times. I've noticed. So how do you manage that?
I think I've really developed a very thick skin. From childhood, I was criticized a lot. You know, my seniors had come onto my face and told me, "Jwala, you cannot play badminton. You won't be able to do it." And my father was called "पागल है क्या क्या कर रहा है लड़की?" You know, इतना क्या उसके पीछे पड़ रहा है? You know, what are you doing? You're wasting her time. Uh, Wasting your own time. So I was criticized a lot from the beginning, and somehow it doesn't bother me. These trollers, I know they are, first of all, they themselves are unknown. You really don't know if it is a real person behind these IDs. And और अगर मुझे कभी गुस्सा भी आया, I say it right then and there. I don't keep anything inside me. And this is what we've been taught since the beginning, that we are a democratic country. We have a freedom of
Speech.
expression. You can say what you feel like. You can put out your thought, and that's what the Twitter was meant to be. Although all the other celebs don't use the Twitter for what it was made for, you know, like put out your opinion in a public platform. Now everybody uses it for endorsements and advertising, but I don't believe that keeping quiet is the solution for anything. It's not good for our future generation. I
That's
believe
very
in it.
nice. I mean, it's nice to see somebody taking a stand and speaking up and putting in public your opinion of what you believe in is
Yes.
right.
And I've been taught that, you know, my dad also, he says, see, even if I'm your dad, doesn't mean I'm right all the time. He told me this. If I'm wrong, and if you believe in your way and your, thoughts that you're right, you have to come and fight with me. And we've always had this open discussions in my house as well. So I think this is what I've been taught. This is how I've been. For me, a person like me, it's very difficult to keep quiet. And I try to be diplomatic as much as possible, but I just don't manage. I offend somebody or the other. You know, I just don't know how I manage to do that.
But it's a great quality because that way you sleep with a clean conscience and you got it out of your system and your intent is honorable. You're not doing it with any
And
agenda.
also, I feel I'm responsible. I have a moral responsibility towards our society. Tomorrow I'll have kids. My kids shouldn't turn back and tell me, ये कैसा देश है या ये कैसा society है. You know, why didn't you say anything? Or why didn't you warn me? Or तुमने कुछ किया क्यों नहीं? Or what did you do? What is your contribution? So I feel we as a citizen of this country, we have a moral responsibility towards our society. And today I am a privileged person, and it is my duty that I speak for people who don't have voices, that I speak for underprivileged, so that our society is safe for our children tomorrow. And this I believe in completely.
That's amazing, Jwala. You said that. I hope more people, you know, uh, do the same.
Yeah, I think today the society is suffering because of the silence of good people. I'm not saying people who keep quiet are bad. They are good people, but they're keeping quiet. So that's why our society is suffering today.
You also spoke about body shaming at one time. I mean, you also, I remember I read somewhere which said, you said, what's wrong with being dressed up?
Yeah.
Because, so would you like to elaborate? What was that
Like,
in context of?
every time there is a label, when it comes to a woman, she's labeled on how she looks like. She's labeled, okay, so abhi, if Jwala dresses up like today, I'm wearing some makeup, I have colored hair, I have manicured hands. As a sports person in our country, sports woman, matlab, cannot look glamorous. She shouldn't want to look like this. That's the perception in our country. I don't know, because every time I speak to a press, they have this question. Every press people has this question: how does it feel to be called as a glamorous sports person? I'm like, why would you call me a glamorous sports person? Call me a good sports person. Call me an achiever, maybe. You wouldn't ask this question to a cricketer. They can roam around in a fancy car. They can, nowadays I see the cricketers, male cricketers, they wear all kinds of jewelry, big chunky jewelry. If I wear it, they're like, kisne diya hoga? First question is, kisi ne diya hoga? Who presented you or who gifted you? That's the question. And then, okay, she wears makeup, that means, uska focus pura sirf uske looks pe hai. These are the questions I get. I'm like, I worked hard almost 8 to 9 hours in a day, and that's how much you can do, humanly possible. You can't do more than that. If I do more than that, I'll get injured. It's like, but after that 8 to 10 hours of my work, which I'm supposed to do, after that I have a lot of free time. I can go to spa, I can go to a beauty salon, I can go shopping, I can do what I want as a normal person. And but there's so much of judgment when it comes to a sportswoman who dresses up or who drives a fancy car. It's like she's just not capable of doing it on her own, and that's really unfair and that's really wrong.
Very true. I mean, I can relate to this. I've got two daughters, and they keep correcting me all the time whenever I make very small faux pas, right?
No, like the first time I wanted to buy a car, a Beamer, and my father said this to me. He's like, "Log kya kahenge?" And I'm like, "Mera paisa hai. Log kuch bhi kahe. Why can't I buy a car?" And that's the question I had. It was so, but he was right. लोग क्या कहेंगे? I never thought that लोग कहेंगे कुछ. I never ever thought लोग कुछ कहेंगे. I did not expect, but he was right. His perception was right.
लोगों का काम है कहना.
हाँ कहना है, but I think majority तो वही डर के रह रहे कि लोग क्या कहेंगे. I think that's how people are living. I don't know how they do it.
So, Jwala, what is your routine like? What's your daily routine like?
Now I wake up, I don't wake up very early now. I'm not playing, so I wake up around 7:38 sometimes. I go to the academy. I spend some time. I spend good 5-6 hours there. I started playing as well, and I've started training a little bit. I haven't been very active last 3 years, but and then everything is surround meaning everything is around my academy
Okay.
right
And
now.
what are your other interests? Do you have any other hobbies apart from badminton?
No hobby really. I watch a lot of TV. I'm a TV buff, movie buff, and I spend a lot of time with my friends because I never got so much time to spend with my friends. So I have a very close circle, and I spend a lot of time with my friends.
Are you a foodie?
I am a foodie, but I have to be on a diet as well because I have a very bad body type. I put on weight just like that. But I love food. I don't eat junk. I'm not, I don't like junk food. But I like food. I'm not very fussy. I eat all kinds of food.
And what kind of? But is there any favorite cuisine
I
that you like?
don't eat spicy food. I'm a very, मतलब थोड़ा Chinese genes है तो very bland food. No mirchi, no masala. But I otherwise घर का खाना or what my mom cooks. I really love what my mom cooks.
So, does your mom cook Chinese food?
Yeah, she's a great cook. When you're in Hyderabad, I'll invite you.
Okay, done. That's a deal. That's a deal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the deal. You will eat authentic Chinese food in India, the most authentic.
And did she teach you how to speak Chinese, or you never
No,
learned
she
Chinese?
didn't. She didn't. So she tells me when she was very young when she had me, and um, She was learning Indian languages then, so she forgot to teach me. But when my sister was born, they sent her. They had made up their mind that they would teach her
Right.
Chinese, and my sister went and studied in China for 5 years. So she was in Shanghai for 5 years. So
Yeah.
she knows how to read and write quite a
Wow,
bit.
that's nice.
Yeah,
You should
it's
too at
tough.
some point.
Chinese is tough. You have to breathe Chinese literally to learn Chinese. Chinese is very tough. It's not an easy language to learn.
And what's your favorite holiday destination?
UK, anywhere in UK, but UK. I like that atmosphere. I think I think it's very similar to India, but I think in a better way. But I think yeah,
Okay.
UK.
So I'm going to ask you. We have very little time, so I'm going to ask you just last two, three questions. Some of leadership lessons that you learned while playing. You know, so when you lose, how do you maintain your when you win? Of course, you're celebrating, right? But when you lose, how do you motivate yourself?
So what I have learned and what I have been taught by my dad was win or lose, you cannot get too excited about it. Even winning, you just celebrated that particular night and you have to move on immediately. And because you have a tournament next coming week, as a sports person, we have tournament every week, and I cannot settle with one win. And even when I lose in a tournament, it's the same. You think about it that particular moment, maybe that night, don't extend it too much. So that way, I kind of developed this habit of moving on very quick. So I never got too excited even with wins. I never got too excited or too low when I lost out on any matches actually. So and that's how you that's what you learn to deal with daily life. Don't get too excited because life, it just doesn't stop, right? Even if you have had a big victory, it just doesn't stop. Then you'll have another hurdle maybe next week. You have to have a presence of mind. And I never took it too seriously, telling you frankly. Whether even when I won, I never took it too seriously. Okay, this is the end of everything. I've won. I've done it all. It was never like that. You have to know how to deal with your wins as well.
And since you have a voice and you express your opinion, have you ever thought of politics at any given point?
I got a lot of offers, but somehow my ideologies don't match with any of the current parties. So no, I don't know. Never say never though.
Yeah.
If people think I'll be able to do justice, and if the day I think I'll be able to do justice and give that much of time, because politics again will take up all your time. Right now, I don't want to do that right now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jwala. It's been fantastic talking to you.
Thank you,
Uh,
Raj.
and there are so many people, I'm sure, badminton players who will be watching this show. What is that message you would like to give them?
All the badminton players and all the sports persons, I know winning is what is there in your head, but please be patient. I think this current generation is running out of patience. You have to be patient, and becoming champion is not difficult, but staying champion is difficult. So you have to have patience, and that's how you can be a true champion.
And my last question to you: what makes you happy, Jwala? How do you define happiness?
I think if people around me are happy, that makes me happy. I truly believe in it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It was awesome speaking to you. I don't
Thank
know how time flew by,
you.
and that tells me that it was an easy conversation. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm going
Thank
to take you on your offer. When I come to
Yes,
Hyderabad, I'm going to get
don't
authentic Chinese
forget.
food. I won't
Yes, you
forget.
have to.
Yeah. And wish you all the best with your academy. I'm sure once the pandemic is over, it will flourish.
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And thank you to all our viewers for watching Friday's Live. Keep coming back every Friday, 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.